party people. Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I'm joined by Christine Prevas for a game of Frontier Scum. Frontier Scum is a rules-light acid western role-playing game, an auto-destructive, violent, and LSD-infused take on spaghetti westerns about wanted outlaws making their mark on an unreal, lost frontier. The game is set in the sprawling frontier town of Covet City, where an omnipresent rail baron megacorp, the Incorporation, rules with an iron fist while ordinary people live hard scrabble lives, one desperate job at a time. Y'all, this game rules. The game is gorgeously laid out, mechanically, it's dripping with flavor and style. This game is so cool. I had so much fun playing this game. I really think you're going to enjoy the game that we played. You can find more information about Frontier Scum in the show notes. Christine is the game master for The Unexplored Places, an actual play podcast about exploring weird worlds and making bold choices. The podcast is currently on its 4th season, playing a fistful of darkness in a Weird West setting. There are also seasons of horror games, superhero stories, sci-fi. The podcast rules. It is genuinely one of my favorite actual play podcasts. I love it a lot, and I think you should check it out. You can find more information about The Unexplored Places in the show notes. Now, before we begin, there are a few things that I want to say. First, on behalf of myself and Party of One, I want to say that we stand in full support of our friends, peers, and colleagues in the Writers Guild of America as they fight for better pay, better working conditions, and a better path forward in the industry. And furthermore, I would like to encourage you, if you're listening to this episode, you have the financial means to do so, and you'd like to support the strike, to go to bit.ly/entertainment fund, and make a donation to the Entertainment Community Fund. This is a fund that specifically supports those in the cast and crew of shows that have been impacted by the writer's strike, that helps them pay bills, rent, and stay afloat while the strike is ongoing. Simply go to bit.ly/entertainment fund, select film and television, and make a donation. If you do this, send me proof of a donation of any amount to partyofonepodcast@gmail.com, and I've got some games and goodies that I can share with you. It is the least that I can do to support the strike. As always, thank you for listening and thank you for your support. And with all that said, let's go ahead and throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. I am so excited. This is an episode that I have been looking forward to all week. I've been looking forward to this game for a very long time. I've been looking forward to sitting down with my wonderful guest for again for a very long time. Christine Prevas. Christine, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thank you so much for having me. I am thrilled to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while now, and I'm so glad to be here.
I listen, the last game that we played together for the show is one of my favorite episodes.
Mine too.
Genuinely and truly. So I could not be more excited. But before we kick off the game proper, why don't you let our lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Absolutely. So I'm the host and GM of the actual play podcast, The Unexplored Places. We just, a few months back, started up our brand new season, our 3rd, I think, season, Ruins Gate, which is a Wild West story set on the distant planet of Antares. It is about a posse of people on the edge of a demon-infested wasteland who are, I would say, balancing the pulls between looking out for themselves and trying to make the world a little bit of a less dark place. So that is what I've got going on right now. We're having so much fun. We're playing Stefan Struck's A Fistful of Darkness, which is another Weird West game. And yeah, I think it's been a really good season so far.
I really I know I've told you that I like your podcast a lot, but I get to say it on mic sometimes, and that's a distinct joy that I'm taking advantage of whenever I get the opportunity.
It's a distinct joy to hear it from you, who makes one of my favorite podcasts. So
I appreciate the mutual respect and admiration. It is a good energy, a good vibe. And speaking of good vibes, let's make just a horrifying, terrifying, bone-chilling vibe right in front of us, because we are playing Frontier Scum. Frontier Scum is like an OSR-inspired acid western role-playing game. It is about outlaws making their mark on an unreal lost frontier. A little bit about the setting and the vibe. This is a story set in the shadow of the city, Covet City, which is a massive western sort of megalopolis of ruled over by, corporate barons. It is desperate outlaws taking jobs and sort of trying to carve out a place amongst the worst kind of rail barons and titans of capitalism that have exerted their will upon the world in front of us. And this is exactly the kind of story that we are telling today. So with that, why don't you introduce us to who you are playing, who your character is this week?
I sure will. The character I'm playing this week is named Kildred the Cadaver Kid Casket. They use they, them pronouns, and they are an outlaw with morals for sale and a bone-white smile. They are currently wanted dead or alive for spectacular grave robbing. They are a gambler and a cheat, and they have, very importantly, among other things, a brown mule named Captain Chupacabra with a braided mane.
The braided mane is the first thing that we see as you and the captain are making your way up like a desolate mountain pass, right? Like it is peak. We are filming in a quarry and we are having you march your way up the quarry. You are far from, you can see the skyline of the city in the background. I think that like no matter where you are in the sort of larger region, you can see those distinct skylines and the boardrooms and the miserable towers and smokestacks of Covet City. You kind of see those in the distance, but we are a fair ways away from that. You are approaching a small mining colony deep in the distance. There is a job waiting for you there. Tell us a little bit about Kildred's background and a little bit about like what the jobs that you look for are, and I'll tell you about what this job that you're heading up the mountain to find is.
Yeah, it's funny. So as a gambler and a cheat, the jobs that I look for weirdly aren't actually the jobs that find me. I think I would prefer to take jobs that are a little bit maybe shinier than the kind I tend to be offered. But of course, my morals are for sale, and so is my labor because I need silver. And so the jobs that find me, given both my unfortunate surname, my nickname, and also the crime that I am wanted for, people tend to think of me when they need something done with bodies, whether that's creating them, turning people into corpses, for instance, whether that's dealing with unwanted corpses that are in places they shouldn't be, or whether that's fetching bodies for them that they might need for whatever their purposes are. I would not say that this is like my 5-year plan. This is not my dream job, but it pays the bills and a lot of people aren't willing to do it. So I think the work is much more available than maybe the work I was trying to do in my past before I garnered this reputation.
Of course. So the job that you have that has made its way to you, not necessarily the one that you have sought out, but the one that has certainly made its way to you is the miners in Carpenter's Burrow are, or were, maybe still are. I mean, there's still people up there, but there is rumors of the dead walking. Supposedly, something from the tunnels below has stirred. Something undead, something that should be gone from this world has stirred and has started claiming victims. Operations in the mine have largely shut down, but the workers up there and certainly management would like to start operations again and would like to start hollowing out phantom rock, which, as you know, is a kind of rock that has ghosts in it. Mm-hmm. Phantom rock, they would like to start mining it out again, but as long as there is this ghoul or these ghouls walking around, it's not safe to do so. So they've put out word that they are looking for somebody with a particular affinity for dealing with the dead to come figure out how to put this thing back in the ground.
And that is the kind of work that finds its way right to me.
It certainly is. Now, as you have departed from the city proper towards this, I'm going to have you immediately make an ability check.
All right.
This is going to be, so you have 4 abilities in Frontier Scum. You have Grit, which is your strength, toughness, intimidation, your melee combat. Slick, which is dexterity, aim, deception, and ranged combat. Your Wits, which is knowledge, perception, persuasion, and medicine. And Luck, which is gambling, I've been reading that as, I see it now, it is sheer serendipity and not sheer stupidity.
I think it's better as sheer stupidity, honestly.
And not getting shot. So I'm going to ask you, how does Kildred get information?
I think that the way that I get information is by trying to overhear things by being in the right place at the right time, and by being unimposing enough that people are willing to talk openly with me around. I don't think Kildred is someone who talks to people for information. I think they're someone who listens to other people talk to try to gain information.
Okay, got it. So I think that this is probably wits, this is probably perception, but I am going to give you advantage on this because one of your skills is hiding in plain sight, and
yes.
that kind of like laying low and picking up on details is, I think, in your wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So how this is going to do is you're going to roll a d20, you're going to add your wit score, and you are going to try and get an 8 or higher. Actually, yeah, we'll call this an 8 or higher. I think this is fairly straightforward. If you get the 8 or higher, you'll get a crucial piece of info. You'll get a piece of juicy information. And we'll go every 2 past that. I will allow you to ask a question about the situation as you head up to the mountain.
Okay. I have rolled a 15, and I have a -1 to wit, so a 14.
So that is, I will say that is what, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's 3 questions. The information that you've gotten is that this was, when you start dropping the name Carpenter's Burrow, like, there's kind of a hush. Or rather, like when rumors hit, right? Like, you're overhearing information. There is a poker game. People are kind of discussing the burning ghoul of Carpenter's Burrow. And when the name Carpenter's Burrow is dropped, there is a hush. Supposedly, details are sparse, but there was some kind of a battle here. This is the site of some kind of violence from some time ago.
Okay. Interesting.
What else do you want to know about this? About what you're riding into?
Yeah. Do I get a sense of whether or not the current owners or operators of the mining operation that is there were connected to that violence or that battle, or if something happened there and then they bought the land?
You get the vibe that the current owners, this is in-corp property. Not necessarily the incorporation, that is the mega monopoly that runs most of the city, right? That is, they are the robber barons that have laid claim to Greater Covet.
Mm-hmm.
And this mine, Carpenter's Burrow, is in-corp property.
Okay.
What you gather is that was not necessarily always the case. This is, and it's probably some subsidiary of Incorp, you know how it is, but like this was not originally, like this mining operation was not originally under their purview.
Okay.
And now it is.
Okay. Has anyone, or does anyone claim to have seen the burning ghoul of Carpenter's Burrow?
There is one story, as somebody is, I think the story that I think the person that comes looking for someone with knowledge of the dead, where someone at a saloon pointed them in your direction.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of lets you know, they have an account of the burning ghoul, and what it is, well, it were like a miner, but it ain't like any miner that's ever lived. I mean, if it was, then this miner has seen some pretty horrible things before he kicked the bucket. His eyes burst and fire spits out of them. He lets out a howling scream and noxious gas fills the air, and he swings this pickaxe, and where it lands, fire and dust and soot and ash spew out in an explosion. It is the soul. It seems to be the soul of someone what was human once, but now seems to be more a vehicle of violence than anything.
Okay. And I get one more question?
One more question. You can also hold on to that question if you'd like.
I think I am going to hold on to it, yeah.
Okay, let's hold on to that question, because you get to we see you and the captain. We see the two of you ride up this mountain path. You get up to this sort of large, kind of like a cabin mining colony. It's this one large sort of barracks, sort of workhouse. You can see the entrances to mine tunnels around it. It is clearly that this is a place where the miners live and work and descend into the mines. Most of the mines, if they're open, they've been, boarded up. They're either in disrepair or they're sealed up. And you get inside. For as desolate as this site is, and for as dire as that situation implies, the people that you walk into, they're the people that you see, like, in sort of the large central lobby living common area. This is a pretty raucous crowd. There is a gambling wheel. There are people. There are chips flying. This is a pretty, like, enthusiastic atmosphere. And I should note, like, it is in the evening that the sun is still out, and but the crowd is hopping, and you, Kildred, notice the sheer number of chips flying across the table on any given hand, spin of the wheel, etc.
Yes, I do. Ooh.
What do you do?
Okay, well, I think what I would like to do, as I tie my mule up outside, head on in, is that I think I would like to begin by, I want to find what looks like the person who has been here the longest.
The person who has
join whatever game, whatever gambling situation they are in.
There is an old woman. I am face casting her as like a Kathy Bates.
Yes, great.
Old woman. And she is dealing a poker game, I think.
Okay.
And she is dealing a poker game, and she is like distributing chips, and you see somebody like reach for a chip early, and she just like holds up a finger, kind of like a smile on her face, like the smile has never left. Holds up a finger, and they sit dead still in their seat. This is nothing. This is a poker game, but it is also nothing less than holding court. This is, you can tell, you have seen a queen hold court before, and this woman is in control of this poker table, and is just kind of like not really even looking at the cards, just kind of flipping them from person to person. I think she locks eyes with you. Doesn't even really like stop dealing, but you notice that she is now dealing like an extra spot at an empty chair as everyone starts to collect their cards.
I just in that moment, as you described her locking eyes with me, I finally settled on a face cast for Kildred, actually. So it feels like as good a time as any to bring it up. Is that I do think my face cast is Brett Goldstein.
Love it. Love it a lot. Love it a lot. Great, yeah. Great. Love it.
Yeah. So she's made eye contact with me. I'm going to take a seat in a free seat, and I'm just going to say, deal me in.
Already done.
I think what I would like to do is to first silently play a few hands.
Okay. Give me a luck check. This is standard difficulty just to see how you do here.
I rolled a 16 and I have 2 luck, so 18.
An 18, you. And let me ask you this, because this is actually important.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, and you've done well enough that like it's not just that you've won. I want to ask how, I want to say like, you are in control of the table, right? The flow of the game is yours. What position do you want to have at the table at this moment?
What I would like is actually to have won enough for people to be impressed and paying attention, but to have not won enough to seem like a threat.
Got it. Yeah, I think you've had just enough downbeats to where you are in a pretty good spot. You know what I mean? Like, it is clear that you are a player to be taken seriously, but like, there's been just the right number of flubbed hands that it seems like you are just on a tear and not a hustler.
Excellent.
And I think that like several of the other players at the table have bowed out. I think that someone has bought a round of drinks for the table. And it is now just you and Minerva. Minerva is, and the details that you get about Minerva is that, sure enough, she is a minor here. She has been a minor here for a very long time. Since pretty shortly after, almost immediately after Incorp took over about 6 years ago. She's been here and she's been working, and she will tell you whatever you need to know. The two of you have struck up a rapport, because I think she kind of leans over and she's like, I think that there is a moment where it's kind of boiled down to just the two of you, and she's like, so are you gonna quit pretending to be as good as poker as you are? Are you gonna quit trying to hold yourself back or not? Because I got stuff to do otherwise.
I grin a little bit and very not trying to lie here, but I do say, don't know what you're talking about.
You're really gonna play that card? Okay, yeah, fine. And I think that like you can make a second gambling roll if you'd like, but I do think there is just one hand where she just run. Before you make another gambling roll, if you choose to, there is just one hand where she just runs you. Like, you are staring at the finished result, and she has taken more money in one hand than maybe you have dealt out in a single hand this entire game. And she's like, now are you gonna show me what you can actually do here, or are you gonna continue to waste my time?
No, I think I'm good. Can I ask you some questions?
And she kind of like kicks back. She pops the cap off of her bottle of beer. She kind of leans back. She's like, yeah, all right. What do you want to know?
Couple of things. First, this burning ghoul.
That's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. What do you want to know?
You seen it?
Twice now.
Twice
now. Comes out of dark. You'll start to see, and as she's saying that, you see a whole lot of commotion as people start grabbing their chips, grabbing their drinks, and heading off down hallways. That's going to start happening right around sunset. He comes out at dark. Anybody that's still out has a pretty good chance of running into him. He comes stumbling out of, and she looks around, usually one of the tunnels. It varies which. And sure enough, if you're out there, if you're one of us, if you're here, don't seem too specific about who it wants to drive that pickaxe into their skull.
So easy to find if you're looking.
If you're looking, you'll find it.
Good. You said twice. Come away unscathed both times?
Well, cowardice will get you everywhere in this business.
You got a point there.
Couple of my coworkers weren't so lucky.
My mama didn't give me the good graces to gift me with cowardice, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
What should I know?
Don't get close. If you see it, turn back, and if you see it and you're not bright enough to be a coward, don't get close enough that it's going to swing. Don't get into close enough quarters that it can breathe on you. And I wish I had more for you, but those seem to be about the 2 ways. Those and running seem to be the 3 ways that I've kept alive.
It's as good a start as any.
Now, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
The sun is just about starting to go down, and frankly, You might not have been blessed with those gifts, but I seem to have a couple of those myself, and I've got a couple more days of work left on my contract.
I wouldn't want to hold you up. Thank you for your
She
help.
she collects those chips. She throws a couple more. You owe me a hand and a real one at that.
If I live to see the morning, you got it.
Here's hoping. And she kind of walks off. She pats you on the shoulder. She kind of makes her way. And you are alone. This is a large lobby. There is a gambling wheel. You see you watch these miners make their way down to the the various tunnels that lead to the various bunk rooms. You can see sort of the courtyards that lead to the various work tunnels. And at the moment, it is just twilight. You've got a little bit of time to investigate if you would so choose.
Great. I'd love to use my third question from my role earlier to kind of look around the place and try to confirm some of what I heard. And what I mean by that is I'm looking around the building. I'm looking at things like, how new is the construction? Does this building seem like it was built for this purpose, or was it maybe repurposed? And I'm trying to get a sense of what was this place before? Is the question I'm trying to get an answer to.
I got it. Yeah, absolutely. The construction here is fairly old. This encampment looks like it was 20, 30, maybe 40 years old. Like it's been around, and it looks like this is like a purpose-built mine, right? Like this is a purpose-built, and you can see the fact that there are multiple tunnels means that people have been digging here for a fairly long while. This is a dedicated mining camp, and it has been here for a very long time. It seems that only in the last few years it has fallen into the hands of Incorp. Notably, you've seen Incorp construction before. You've even seen Incorp subsidiary construction before. Goddamn, like, of all of the things that this corporation has taken from the world, creativity in just about every form is one of them. The buildings look the same, they look bland, they look like shit. This place had care put into it. The architecture was designed with there's a decor to it, right? And there is, intention to the design. Like, you can see that the courtyard is positioned in a way that, like, makes it easy to get to, and it has easy access to, like pulleys if people need to be pulled out. Like, this is a place but it's also just damn pretty to look at. Like, the paint is the paint, the decor, the architecture. This is stuff that was given care. It was very noticeably not a mining colony built for Incorp purposes that makes it very, like, that it just stands out to you. And it really, it's curiously seems like it was built as a mine and then fell into their hands later.
Okay. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to know. What I'd like to do is there anywhere around here that I can get some height, some elevation, that I can get maybe kind of a bird's eye view of the area where I think that the burning ghoul might appear?
I think this is going to be an ability check, and I have to decide which ability feels like right here. Probably wits. This is probably standard. It's probably a 12. Does one of your skills apply here?
I don't think it does.
Okay, then give me a D. You're going to give me a D20. You're going to subtract 1 for your wits, and you're going to try and get a 12 or higher.
I have rolled a 13 minus 1, so exactly a 12.
You are able to find, there's 2 floors. Like, there's 2 floors. So there's a very obvious answer of, like, but also you notice that as you climb to that second floor, you see management's office. Okay. You see, there is a name on the door that is Clancy Harkin. Clancy Harkin, Director of Operations. Clancy's office is Incorp design, is what this is. It is a gray cement-looking block office that has been planted in the corner of this very, like, lush, decorative-looking space. But there is, like, it it goes about halfway up. It's about half a story, like, tall. And it does have, like, you could rest on top of it. And in fact, like, it's far enough out of the way that, like, you could lay low there and be fairly out of the way.
I'm gonna head there.
You are able to, like, what you kind of have to do is, like, go to the second floor, go onto one of the catwalk or one of the walkways and kind of hop down.
Yeah.
But you're able to kind of hop down onto the roof of the office. It is cold concrete and you're able to, like, lay down and then you watch. Are you just watching or are you doing something specific?
I think for now I'm waiting it out. I want to see it before it sees me is my big goal here, and I want to be able to observe it for a little while before I interact with it.
And you hear it before you see it. You see it start to emerge from one of the tunnels, specifically one of the tunnels that has been boarded up. You hear the crunching of a pickaxe, and you hear the horrible moans, and smashing. It grabs hold and it starts to rip, and sure enough, it is a skin, like, it looks like a skinless miner. The skin, like the chunks of skin, it looks like its skin has been burned off. Its eyes periodically, like, they are cinders, and then they burst and flames jump out of them, and it lets out this howling scream, and green gas billows out of it, and it just starts, like, walking, and as it walks, it just, like, slams the pickaxe behind it, and it lets out these little explosions, and he's wearing miner's clothes. He's wearing overalls and boots and a big kind of floppy miner's hat. The most of the skin has been burned off, and he's letting out these screams and billowing this gas. And you're watching this, and it walks, towards it. It smashes, it punches through the window of the door to the main area. It rips open the door, it walks, and that's when you see, emerging out of the office, is the one poor employee that happened to be working a little late tonight.
Oh,
from
no.
Directly underneath you. He's a scrawny little fella. Looks like, and he's carrying a bunch of, like, books and things. He walks out. He takes 3 steps, and suddenly, like, it is a clear line of sight between him and the ghoul. And this ghoul breaks off into a sprint, lifting this pickaxe over his head. What do you do?
Yeah, I gotta interfere here. I think what I'm gonna do is pull out, I probably have it out already, I think, my shotgun. And I'm going to try to shoot, not to shoot the ghoul, but to shoot behind the ghoul to try to distract it, to try to pull its attention away from this poor innocent person for long enough to give them a chance to get back inside or to run or to something.
This is going to be I think this is probably a standard, this is probably a slick, this is going to be a slick roll. This is aim, this is dexterity.
Yeah.
This is so you're going to roll plus your slick, and you are going to try and get a 12 or better.
All right. I've got a 2 in slick.
I don't think any of your skills particularly meet here, but I can be convinced.
They don't, and I just rolled a 5. So that's a 7.
I am going to give you a devil's bargain.
Please.
You can roll your damage right now and lay into this. Because you were trying not to hit, I will let you hit this thing. But but not only will its attention be on you, like, its vengeance will be upon you.
Ooh.
Or you can miss and let it continue to descend on this person.
My morals are for sale, and I'm not a coward. I've established. These are the things I've established, which means I think I have to hit it.
Okay.
I think I can't let this person get got.
Okay. Are you using one or both barrels of your shotgun?
I think I'm just using one because I wasn't shooting to hit.
Okay, roll me a d4.
Okay. It's a 2.
Okay. It takes a shot to the shoulder. It kind of drops the pickaxe. There's an explosion, and then it's right back in its hand. And he turns back, and like the person scrambles. They hear that and they scramble. You see that they've locked themselves back into Harkin's office, and this thing is upon you. You have to make a grit roll to avoid being harmed right now.
Okay, my grit is -2. It's a 17, so a 15.
You got it. You got it effortlessly. Whew. I mean, it was a in fact, I'm going to say because it was a 12 and you got a 17, what do you do and what's the advantage you get in this moment?
Can I ask a clarifying question first?
Yes.
So when I saw it drop its pickaxe, you said it appeared right back in its hand. Is that
it kind of dropped and it erupted in flame and now it's got it back in its hand.
Okay, so like some sort of supernatural unlimited ammo situation on the pickaxe.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out the geography of the situation here. I was on top of the building. Did it climb up or am I now down?
You're still on top. You're still on top of the building. So yeah, okay, then yeah, at that point what I'm going to say is that it is coming at you. Okay. There's the person locked underneath. And I'm going to say like it has gotten to you.
Yeah.
And what it has done is it drove you see it like I'm going to say it's now directly underneath you and it's got its pickaxe. And it has driven it into the wall of the office. You see this burst of flame come out of the concrete, which does not seem possible. And it is going to, like, climb by way of, like, hurtling this pickaxe by doing these big swings of the pickaxe and just hurling itself up at you. And it's going to be up here pretty goddamn quick.
Okay. I think now that it's closer, I'm going to fire again, and I am going to fire to hit, and I'm going to use both barrels of the shotgun.
Okay, give me a slick roll. You're trying to get a 10 here because you've got the high ground.
Great. I rolled a 14 plus 2, so a 16.
Are you using one barrel or two?
Both.
All right, give me 2d4.
That's a 3 and a 2, so 5.
That's 5. You blast it, and it goes tumbling down. You blast it. It goes tumbling down. It hits the ground. It bursts into flames. It is now on fire. That fire is starting to spread a little bit. But it drops the axe. It scrambles over. It re-grabs the axe. It is bursting and it is going to, it lets out one of these moans and this sort of sickly green gas starts to billow out. I need you to make a slick save to like get your hands on something to cover your breath.
Yeah. I just rolled a 19 and I have a 2, so 21.
That is flawless. Like you are quick enough to cover your breath. You feel it on your skin a little bit and it starts to sizzle. Like this is a chemical acid. Whatever it is, it ain't natural. It ain't a natural substance. You feel this sort of sickly, tinny, artificial sense on your skin as it burns a little bit. You're able to wipe it off. You cover yourself up. You lay low. And, I think that as you do that, I'm gonna roll me a d4.
Okay. 3.
Great. That is exactly the number that I needed. Sure enough, like as you do that, you see that and you see wearing a handkerchief on her face. Minerva runs, slams this thing with a bearskin rug and smashes it. And there is like an explosion of dust and dirt as you are all standing and the mostly charred remains of this ghoul is there. And Minerva is like has been thrown backwards, landed, is holding her back, is clearly bruised up at the volume of this explosion, and is just cackling, laughing.
I think I'm gonna look down at her, and I'm gonna call to her. Thought you said you were a coward.
Yeah, that's why I waited for you to shoot a couple times before I did that.
This ain't that easy.
Well, we got him tonight. He'll be back tomorrow.
That's how it goes? Get rid of him once he comes back the next time?
He comes back. There's no keeping a good miner down, and she kind of kicks it a little bit. And there's and sure enough, like there are remains there. As you kind of make your way down, there are the remains of this body. You see the tunnel where it came from. What do you want to do? Do you want to get some sleep? Do you want to investigate anything? Do you want to investigate the body, the tunnel? What do you want to do?
There are a couple things I want to do. The first thing that I want to do while I'm standing here and she's also here is I want to try to get a read on her a little bit, and just given this interaction and given the talking with her I've already done this evening, do I get a sense of if she's the kind of person who I'm not just going to say, is she a bootlicker, but is she the kind of person who has any kind of company loyalty, or is she here to pay the bills? You know what I mean?
She is here to pay the bills.
Excellent.
You get a clear sense that she kind of you get a clear sense she is here to pay the bills.
Excellent.
You get a clear sense that she is dedicated to her job.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't get a sense that she is a bootlicker. I don't think that is an unfair assessment, an
Excellent.
unfair thing to say, because some of the folks you've seen, they're bootlickers.
Yeah.
You can tell when somebody respects the corp and when somebody doesn't.
Excellent. That was the impression I'd gotten from her earlier, but I wanted to confirm. Yeah. What I'd like to do is to say to her as I'm looking down at the remains that are on the ground here. I've got my hands on my hips. I'm looking down, and I kind of let out a deep sigh. And I say, I got a nasty feeling nothing's gonna go well if I stay here night after night and keep shooting this thing.
Eventually you'll run out of ammo, eventually it'll get you. I mean, those are the two options.
And as good as the odds tend to be for me, you play them long enough, you lose a hand.
That's exactly right. That's finally you're showing the gambler that I knew you to be. She kind of slaps you on the shoulder and she starts to head to bed.
Hey, wait up a second.
What do you got?
You're safe out here tonight. We took care of this. You want to help me out?
Yeah. I could use a thriller too. What do you got?
I got a hunch that the thing this thing wants is not so much any old blood, but maybe some kind of specific revenge.
I mean, it ain't exactly been discriminate so far. It seems to just kind of grab at whoever's closest, and it'll kill until morning and go from there. But what are you thinking? Talk to me.
Well, I'm thinking if all it wanted to do was kill, it would have sated that quite some time ago. But if it wants something else and we can give that something to it, we might be able to make it stop.
What do you think? You got an idea on what it wants?
No offense to your employer, but I got a sense however Incorp ended up here probably wasn't entirely honest.
Uh-huh.
I think if I can figure out what happened there, might be able to get a sense of what our ghoul friend wants and why.
Give me a wits roll.
Ooh, I wish I was better at wits.
And I think that, I'm going to give you advantage. I'm going to give you advantage on this. I'm just not going to say why, but I'm going to give you advantage on this.
Okay.
This is a 12.
Second roll twice?
Yeah.
Thank God, because the first one was a 2, and the second one's a 14, -1, so a 13. Whew.
You spot something out of the corner of your eye as you're talking. A glint. A glint of metal on the body that is quickly, crumbling to ash and faster than any body should decay. And yet there is one tiny piece of metal that seems perfectly pristine.
Oh, I gotta pick it up.
You pick it up. It actually starts to rust and decay before you grab it, but the second you grab it, it stops. And you are looking at this. It is a little badge. It is a metal badge. On it is the pressed image of a skeleton in a miner's hat with a pickaxe, giving a 2-fingered salute with one, pickaxe over one shoulder, 2-finger salute with the other. And above that, it just says PRMU 1138.
PRMU
1138.
1138. Does that have any meaning to me? I assume not.
Give me a wits roll.
Okay.
I'm gonna set the number at 12. If you get 2 over, you get to ask any follow-up questions about what you know.
I got an 11.
Here's what I'll say. You don't know anything about this specifically, but you've certainly seen numbers. You've certainly seen combinations of numbers, combinations of letters, followed by a chapter number.
Yeah.
Followed by a symbol of somebody doing work before.
I sure have. Oof.
So you might not know the specifics, but you've seen a union badge or two in your day.
I sure have, yeah. Okay. Can I ask Minerva if she recognizes it?
She takes a long look at it, and she kind of like leans down. I mean, it's before my time, but she turns to the door, and it is locked. The door to the office is locked, and she like pounds on it. And eventually, I think, how do you get this door open?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna knock on it. I'm not gonna pound on it. I'm gonna knock, with purpose, but without urgency. And I'm gonna sort of call through. I'm just gonna call through. Coast's clear.
And I think with that, the door unlocks, and kind of stumbling out with these books, this little accountant, spindly little fellow, couldn't be older than 18, 19, comes stumbling out. Thank you. I'm gonna go, sleep and maybe not wake up for a couple days. And just like before you can get another word in, is like a smoke, like the cartoon smoke effect is gone.
You know what? He deserves that. He should go sleep for a long time.
And Minerva kind of like walks you through. Harkin doesn't want us to be in here, but and she kind of like kicks a trash bin and knocks over some papers. Fuck them. And she goes and she grabs a folder. She hands you a piece of paper. It's an old photograph, or I guess a fairly as old as a photograph can be. And it is a group of miners, and you can see they've all got these badges. Those are the fellas what came here, what owned this place before Incorp took over.
You know what happened to them?
I know what we were told.
That's a start.
And that was that they sold the place. Incorp tried to give them a deal. They didn't want that deal, so they got gone.
Sounds like bullshit.
You said it, I didn't. You're thinking whatever happened to these fellas is what brought us here.
I think so. You said this Bernard Ghoul comes from whichever of the tunnels? Or is it always the same one?
And she kind of like walks with you to the doorway, and you see that there are like I said, there are the tunnels that are boarded up, and there are the tunnels that are in disrepair.
Mm-hmm.
You ask Harkin, you ask management, and they come from whichever ones. You ask the people that are paying some goddamn attention, they come from the ones that have been boarded up. We board them up after they come out, but they come through the specific tunnels.
I don't want to ask you to go into the tunnel with me. You've done enough tonight as is.
Good, because I'm not gonna.
But unfortunately, I think that's where I'm headed. Hey, will you do me a favor?
Sure.
If I'm not out by morning, take care of that mule.
It's a nice braid.
She likes it that way.
You got it.
I'm going to nod. I'm going to give her a little salute, and then I'm headed into the tunnel that he came out of.
You make your way into the tunnel. For a little while, it is a tunnel. You've got some light. There's a little bit of light at first from the actual thing, but it pretty quickly gets dark pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a mine tunnel, right? And the lights here are not turned on.
Yeah. I've got I think 4 candles and 20 matches.
So you've got a candle in hand. You're making your way. It's enough light to see what's in front of you.
Great.
And you make your way. And you see the pock marks of like the pickaxe and the burn marks of the fire, and you quickly notice that Minerva's exactly right. This ain't a one-time occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from this tunnel, or maybe at most one of 3 other tunnels. And you follow your way down, and you get to a work area. But for a work area, this looks an awful lot homier than you were expecting. There are bunks, like there are cots here. There are, well, rotted at this point, but there's rations here. And then you look around. Those pockmarks on the walls don't look an awful lot like pickaxe pockmarks. Not down here. They did up in the tunnels, but not down here. They're smaller, and there's a lot more of them, hundreds of them more than you were expecting. And you see the rocks on the rocks, a lot of them are stained with this reminiscent green mist, or green like powder almost. It's almost like a stain, like a grease in this very familiar looking green shade. And the cots have been knocked over and the tents have been slashed. As you are standing here, you hear, and at that moment, that's when you hear the burst come from behind you, from slightly down one of the other tunnels. The burst of fire and the clang of a pickaxe on the wall, and you hear that scream. And you turn, and there is another one of these ghouls is making its way towards you.
I want to take the Union badge that I have and try to affix it to my shirt or something somehow.
Yeah, it's a badge. It's got a pin. You
Excellent.
Can attach it pretty easily.
Excellent.
You pin it to your shirt, and you watch as this ghoul sees you, and with all of the speed and fury comes up, and it rears back its pickaxe, and it looks down at that badge, and it drops the pickaxe, and it does not reappear in its hand. And it gives you a 2-fingered salute, and he crumbles to dust immediately.
Fuck yeah. We love the Skeleton Union.
These things are not going to hurt you. You are not the person that they want vengeance upon.
Okay. I think there's a lot going through the Cadaver Kid's mind right now. There's a lot to take in. And I think there are two impulses here, one of which is I want to get the job done because I want to get paid. And also, I don't, as much as my morals are for sale, I don't want people to get hurt. But I also don't want to be like, I'm just going to make a bunch of these badges and give them to all the miners, and then Incorp can do whatever they want here, and they'll be protected. Like, that's bullshit. That's fucked. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And so I guess what I want to do I get a sense that continuing to poke around down here will turn up any more information, or does it seem like I've kind of seen what there is to see, like the rest of the tunnels is kind of more of the same?
The rest of you walk around for a little while longer, the rest of the tunnel is more of the same, but you do, I think, you do find another one of these campsites, and this one does have a rifle. Like, you do find, a rifle stashed among one of the tents. The ammo has been spent on it. There's no ammo in here, mm-hmm. But, you find a rifle, and you actually, this is both a thematic touch and also, Christine's, you said you wanted a thing, and in my head, I'm like, it would make a lot of sense for you to have this now. You find, a stick of dynamite down. Yes! There are weapons down here.
Yeah.
It is... This was not just a union dispute.
Yeah. This was a siege.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What I would like to do is I would like to do the best I can to sort of sketch out a very rough map of where this weapon stash is from the tunnel entrance.
Yeah, you can do that pretty easily. I think, especially when you get back to the camp, you're able to or get back to the lobby, the building, the workhouse. You're able to kind of grab some paper from Harkin's office. You kind of sketch it out.
Great.
You get this map of where everything is.
And then I want to find Minerva.
Sure.
And
she's got a much nicer bunk room than anybody else.
As she should. Yeah.
It's clear that she's been playing for real money for a very long time.
Yeah. And what I'd like to do, because I'm good at my job, but one person alone is not going to take down a corporation that, starved out and killed a whole union full of miners to claim their mines for themselves. However, the thing that can defeat an evil corporation is, of course, the power of a union. And so what I think I want to do is I want to hand her the map, and I want to hand her the badge. And I want to say, any interest in being a union organizer?
And as you say those words out loud, you hear the click of a pistol behind you.
Of course.
It's even almost before that, the second you unfurl that badge or unclip it from your shirt and it gets flashed in the light, you hear as you start to say those words, you hear the click of a pistol. I'd put down that badge right about you if you'd be so kind.
I'm going to put down the badge, put my hands up, and slowly turn around.
You turn around. You have not seen this person before, but sometimes you can just tell who a motherfucker is.
Yeah, you can.
This is Clancy Harkin.
Mm-hmm.
Clancy Harkin, an older fella, well-tailored suit, big sort of almost like 10-gallon hat, leaning hard on a silver cane. Like a silver cane kind of like held by his side because he's not really using it to stand at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Elaborate, fanciful pistols pointed right at you. This motherfucker is the most manager-ass manager you've ever seen in your life. We don't have any business. This is a fine operation. I don't know you, but we don't need troublemakers coming around stirring up old union beef. Just put down the badge, and we'll talk through it. If there are issues among the workers, we'll talk it through with the workers.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to do that. There's just one problem. The workers that have the problem don't talk, they scream.
I want you. I think he kind of laughs. I'm not even going to make you roll for this. I think he kind of laughs. And as he laughs, you kind of get a similar flash of steel that you did to the ghoul.
Mm.
Only this one, you didn't recognize the Phantom Rock Miners Union.
Yeah.
You recognize this badge immediately. You have seen In-Corpse. You have seen the In-Corpse Seekers before.
Mm.
In-Corpse personal corporate private detective force. Lovingly called the Pink Eye by anybody that knows them. Because, you get a little bit of shit in your eye.
Yeah.
You recognize this badge. You've seen this badge before. This motherfucker took this management gig after, looking at how old he is, probably a long, successful stint with the Seekers.
Yeah.
Hell, probably one longer than 6 years.
I don't want any trouble. But you got a problem that's holding up, operations. I would almost say, sort of like a strike.
And I think, with that, when you say that word,
mm-hmm.
his eyes flash. His eyes flash white for a split second. And he kind of grits his teeth and he starts to smile a little too wide. Grimace a little too wide, even. It starts out as a smile, turns into a grimace, and those teeth turn into fangs a little bit. And turns out some of those stories you heard about the Seekers are a little bit true. And I think he kind of stashes the gun, cracks his knuckles, and says, I figured if we brought in a hired gun, we could keep up operations by day, do a little bit of monster hunting by night, find a nice paying arrangement, but if we're going to start bringing around union rabble-rousers to disrupt our operations, get in the way of the In-Corp family, and he kind of starts to, his limbs get kind of longer and spindly and knotty. Well, then we might just have a problem after all, and some of that smoke and, fog starts to fill the room a little bit.
Now I've got a question.
Yes.
I know that this is a system that doesn't have flashbacks. However,
sure.
Would you allow me...
I am allowed. Jeff Stormer would always allow a flashback.
Phenomenal. Would you allow me to have taken a pistol or something along those lines?
Oh, 100%.
From that
100%,
weapon stash?
Are you asking me if I'm going to allow you to do a Die Hard? Because yes, you can do a Die Hard.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would like to have used the distraction of really pissing this absolute motherfucker off to shoot him. Is what I would like.
Go for it.
To have gotten a gun out without him noticing. I
think that as he's monologuing, you're able to get that shot off.
It's a natural 20.
Oh, beautiful. Roll me 2d6.
It's a 6 and a 4.
You kill his human form just fine. I think the body drops, and I think Minerva just, oh shit, okay, all right, not what I was expecting. And then that fog starts to rise up, and like that fog spits out of his dead mouth and starts to take its own form. And I'm gonna ask you this: what is Kildred, the Cadaver Kid casket, afraid of?
Whew. I think what the Cadaver Kid is most afraid of. This is a harder question than it should be.
No, that's fine. Like, that's fine. Take the time to think it through. Like, we're gonna edit out the silence, but like, the really fun thing. I mean, I'm gonna make explicit what's about to happen.
Yeah.
The really fun thing about making a bad guy a Pennywise is that you get to ask the really tough question.
Oh, I know. I've done it. I love to make a Pennywise. I think that what Kildred is most afraid of is, okay, this is very funny. I think that with the last name Casket, what Kildred the Cadaver Kid casket is most afraid of is in fact being buried alive.
Okay. Then sure enough, the thing that happens is that fog fills the room, and from the ceiling, the door slams shut. You're locked in this bunk, and just heaps of dirt start falling from the ceiling, and suddenly you are ankle deep. I'm gonna have you first make a grit roll. This is a difficulty 12, but this is to avoid becoming miserable.
Ooh, I rolled a 14 minus 2.
That is exactly what you needed. You keep your wits about you. And you're like, you are ankle deep, and you are watching the body of Harkin crumble in exactly the way that the ghoul did earlier. And sure enough, that badge is the one thing that doesn't crumble. What do you do?
The first thing I want to do is I want to reach down to the place near my feet where the badge that I dropped would be if it was still there. I think I have to dig through the dirt that's building up there to try to get it, but I want to try to get that badge.
Yeah, I think make me a slick roll. This is going to be a difficulty. This is tough because you're finding it. You're finding it. It's just going to be a 16 because you're trying to find it in the dirt.
Yeah.
But also, I should know. This is a mechanic that I forgot. That I should call out now. You start out the game with an ace in your sleeve.
Ooh.
An ace, you can spend an ace at any time to re-roll a dice that's not a natural 1 or 20. You gain an ace at the start of every session. If you also roll a natural 20 on an ability check, you can either learn a skill or gain an ace. So do you want to learn a skill right now, or do you want to gain a second ace? Because you rolled that 20 shooting this man in the chest.
I would like to learn a skill specifically because I would love to learn this. I would love to learn a skill that I'd like to call the power of a union.
That's a good skill.
I'm not sure I know what it means, but it feels appropriate for a skill I learned having shot this guy.
That feels pretty right. That feels like a great skill, yeah. B, appropriate time to learn it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna roll. You said this is grit?
This is gonna be slick. You're trying to find a delicate thing.
I rolled a 19, so 21.
Gorgeous. Yeah, you find the badge immediately.
Okay, I'm gonna stand back up with it in my hand. And you said the thing that I can see left on Harkin's body is his badge, right?
Yeah.
Is that badge also disintegrating like this one was, or is it's not?
One,
okay.
No, actually, that one is pretty pristine.
Okay.
Like, that one is pretty pristine. I think there's a lot of belief left in the Seekers. There's not a lot of belief left in a Union that's been wiped off the map.
Right. Union badge is much like Tinkerbell.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, I think what I'm going to do... Oh, no, I know what I'm going to do. I would like to find a way out of this room, and I have the skill rapidly identifying a point of egress.
I mentioned that Minerva's room is much nicer than everyone else's.
Yeah.
Not everyone has a dumbwaiter to the second floor kitchen available to them.
Oh, I'm so happy for her. Yeah, I'd like to get in the dumbwaiter and leave this room, please.
You are able to crawl into the dumbwaiter. You rise up. I think what you like, you're hearing the dirt fill the room. You do shortly after that, I think hear you hear an explosion, but you also hear dirt exiting the room. Minerva has some tricks that are she's got some tricks up her sleeve.
Good.
You make it to the kitchen on the second floor. The fog is starting to chase you, and sure enough, like dirt is falling from the ceiling and every surface of this kitchen and starting to fill up the room very, very rapidly. What are you doing now? Or are you just staying in the dumbwaiter? Like, I realized I skipped ahead.
No, I do think I get out of the dumbwaiter. I think what I want to try to do is just find other people to see if I can
you're able to get to the bunks pretty easily. Yeah, that's a pretty easy thing.
I want to start knocking on doors. I want to start getting people out. Firm belief there's power in union. I want to get as many people as I can. And I want to. There's no way to like rapidly manufacture more union badges. And so maybe I've like taken some paper when I was drawing that map. Maybe I grabbed some extra paper, and I am like best I can writing out the what was it, PRMU 1138.
Yeah.
And drawing a little bad attempt. I don't think the Cadaver Kid's a particularly good artist, but best I can rapidly like sketch of the symbol that's on this badge, and I want to start just like passing these out to people.
You give me a wits roll. This is going to be with advantage because you're the power of a union. This is emergency union organizing. And don't forget that you have an ace if you want to re-roll either of those results.
So I got a 2 and a 13, so the 13 becomes a 12. Do I know what the difficulty here is? Should I use an ace?
Use an ace for that too. I'm trying to suss it out, but I want to know what the third result is, and then I'll decide how well this works.
I re-rolled got a 16, so a 15.
That feels good.
Excellent.
That feels good. I think 14 feels like the number here.
Good.
Yeah. I think that you're able to hand these out. The fog starts to swirl around, and suddenly, there's a room full of people. I think Minerva walks up. Minerva, crawl. You see Minerva, rope hook climbs up. Minerva, muscles her way up. Badges up, boys. And everybody holds up their badges. Makeshift paper badges, and sure enough, the fog still swirls, and people start to you see the fear start to strike on people's faces as their own personal terror comes up, and then you hear the scream. Everybody holds their badges. You see punching through that door. You see that burning thing. It looks and from the furthest end of this. Dirt already up to your knees, your waist, you see this ghoul. Looks, stands up straight, running leap all the way up to the second floor. Brings down the pickaxe, smashes it into the dirt. The dirt erupts in flame. You are kept safe. The fire of the ghoul does not touch you, does not singe you. The entire fog, the entire building is lit up in flame. There is flame swirling. The hallway's a goddamn wreck, but everybody holding one of those badges is perfectly safe. And suddenly there is perfect silence and stillness. And this ghoul looks around, looks at Minerva, looks at you, looks at these paper badges, gives a 2-finger salute, and crumbles back to ash. And now there is only silence. I think we cut to a couple days late. We cut to the next day, even. Maybe a couple days. You've gotten some time to rest. You've loaded up the captain's saddlebags. Minerva made sure that a good chunk of Harkin's payday made its way into your pocket. And they're sending you on your way. You walk by. You hop on the captain. You hop on your mule. Braid, freshly refreshed. You hop on and you walk down and you stop by one of the tunnels and because you hear a noise, but it's not the noise of the howl. You hear the strumming of a guitar and you hear the softest whispers of solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, because the union makes us strong.
I think we see the cadaver kid reach a hand into their pocket and pull out this badge, this metal badge, and sort of like lift it in the direction of the tunnel in sort of acknowledgement, and then slip it back into their pocket and ride off.
And that's game.
Yes! It was so good!
I'm real happy with that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm thrilled! That ruled!
I'm really happy with I'm happy with all of that. I'm happy with how thoroughly you pieced together what was happening just at every beat where I was like, I'm about to reveal the next big thing. You're like, I think I see what the next big thing is. I feel great about it. That was a wonderful experience top to bottom.
That was incredible and so perfectly, beautifully tailor-made for me.
I'm very pleased with this. I'm very, very happy. I am glad that you had a good time. This ruled. I could not be happier.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
So real quick, where can people find you and your work online?
Yep. So you can find me over on Twitter at cprevas, Prevas. You can find my show, The Unexplored Places, on Twitter at twitter.com/unexploredcast, or as Twitter continues to slowly disintegrate, at unexploredcast.tumblr.com for all the relevant information, links, etc., etc. And you can find, there aren't any recent ones because I'm so busy, but you can find the games that I've made at cprevas.itch.io.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing the show. Thank you so much for playing this game with me that was the most up my alley and up both of our alleys bullshit that I could possibly spin up.
Thank you so much.
I am delighted, and for now I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, Bass Me, and thanks again to Christine for coming onto the show. That game was... fuck. I loved that game. I loved playing it. Like, the story that we got to tell was so cool, and it was, like, so laser-focused at the both of us that, like, I am just completely overjoyed at the story that we told, the game that we played. This ruled, and I'm unbelievably happy with it. Be sure to check the show notes for links to get your own copy of Frontier Scum to learn more about the game, and to check out The Unexplored Places. Like I said, they are a wonderful podcast, one of my favorite actual plays out there. They've done a lot of really wonderful things. I think you should check them out. You can find links to all of those things in the show notes, and you can find Christine on Twitter, as long as that's still a thing, at cprevas. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. Find us on TikTok at Party of One Podcast. Find us on Tumblr at Party of One Pod. Subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/partyofonepodcast. And join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. If you enjoy the show, there's a lot of ways to support it. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or Ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/PartyOfOneMerch. Or, if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano Saez. We take a listener-submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logos by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And, unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.